Hello, my name is Mike Walker. I'm the Assistant Director of the Docking Institute of Public Affairs, and one of my main duties is to perform labor availability studies for clients. We developed our labor availability methodology to help economic developers, employers, and site selectors learn about a region's available labor pool. This slideshow will describe our methodology and provide examples of the types of information that we can provide to our clients. Two key concepts that we operationalize when developing our available labor pool methodology include the labor basin and the available labor pool. A labor basin is simply a geographic region, typically made up of adjacent counties, in which it can be reasonably assumed that a worker will be willing to commute the necessary travel time to the center of that region for a new or different job. The available labor pool consists of working-age adults residing in the labor basin who are currently looking for a job or indicate that they will seriously consider taking a new or different full-time employment opportunity at this time. So, why is our available labor pool methodology unique? Well, by surveying working-age adults in a particular geographic area, we can provide our clients with timely information gathered directly from local workers and potential workers themselves. Our methodology allows us to expand the pool of available workers to include those not covered in the civilian labor force numbers, but then reduce that pool to only those workers that indicate to us that they are looking for work or are available for work. As such, the available labor pool contains fewer workers than the civilian labor force numbers, but the members of the pool are more likely to seek or be available for new or different employment. We have conducted more than 50 available labor studies in 6 states in the Midwest in the past 10 years. Most of our clients come from areas in Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska, but we have performed research in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Iowa as well. Many of our clients are repeat customers, and we have completed multiple studies in places like Wichita and Manhattan, Kansas, Columbia, Missouri, and the Elkhorn Valley in Nebraska. When we design a labor study, we first ask ourselves a simple question. What would a prospective employer want to know about a local labor force? Many economic developers provide the data we collect to employers looking to relocate to new locations and to site selectors seeking information about a local labor force. As such, we gather data to address issues like how many people are available for full-time work in a local area, what are the characteristics of the available workers, and do they possess the skills and experiences to meet the needs of future employers? How many minutes are people willing to commute for a job, and what are the wage demands of the potential workers? The next step in the design of a labor study is to determine the geographic area in which we are going to survey. For example, the Leavenworth County Labor Basin includes 7 counties, 6 in Kansas and 1 in Missouri. Leavenworth County is located northwest of Kansas City, and it can be reasonably assumed that a worker living in the 6 counties adjacent to Leavenworth County might travel to Leavenworth County for a job. Sections of Wyandotte and Johnson counties in Kansas were not included in the Leavenworth Labor Basin because it was assumed that Kansas City provides enough job opportunities to discourage workers from traveling through the city and to Leavenworth for a job. Every labor basin is determined in consultation with the client, with areas subtracted or added to the basin as the local geography dictates. The population of this labor basin is estimated to be about 360,000 people, and an estimated 190,000 make up the civilian labor force. We determined that the available labor pool for this labor basin by analyzing responses to a survey that we conducted in July and August of 2009. We estimate that the available labor pool to be slightly less than 75,000 people. As a reminder, the available labor pool expands upon the civilian labor force by including discouraged workers homemakers, full-time students, military personnel about to leave the military, and retired individuals, but then removes those from the pool that are not available for new or different job opportunities. We have been told by clients that site selectors and employers looking to relocate find our data valuable because it provides a conservative and reasonable estimation of the number and types of workers available for new employment. This slide shows some of the kinds of information that we can provide to clients. For example, about 60% of the available labor pool in the Leavenworth County labor basin are currently employed but would consider a new full-time job opportunity given the right opportunities. The average age of members of the available labor pool is about 43 years old, and almost 54% is women. Almost 50% have bachelor's degrees or higher levels of education. Data can be presented in various formats. Here, for example, we have mapped the available labor pool by zip code of place of residence. The map shows that large percentages of the available labor pool in the Leavenworth County labor basin reside in Leavenworth County, southwest and north of Kansas City, and in areas near Leavenworth, Atchison, and Tonganoxie, Kansas. Some areas of Kansas City were not included in the labor basin because it was assumed that people living in the center and southeast portions of the city would be more likely to find a job locally than to travel through Kansas City and to Leavenworth for a new or different job. We can also map the location of the respondents' workplaces by zip code area. We can extrapolate from our survey sample to the larger working age population to estimate the number of workers that hold jobs in various fields. For example, we estimate that there are 3,435 individuals working as general laborers, cleaners and maids, farm workers, and delivery drivers. In total, there are about 9,470 general laborers in the labor basin. The pie chart shows the employed members of the available labor pool. Another way to examine a labor basin's available labor pool is to look at current employment as well as previous employment. Extrapolating to the larger working age population, we see that there is an estimated total of nearly 8,000 available labor pool members in this labor basin that have experience as general laborers, construction workers, and cleaners. About 2,000 members of the available labor pool currently hold these positions, while slightly less than 6,000 have done this type of work in the past. The data shown in this slide are of specific job categories that were of special interest to the client. While data for the previous two slides were gathered using open-ended question formats, survey respondents here were specifically asked if they had worked at a job doing data entry while using the telephone, worked as an office assistant in a professional office environment, worked in a warehouse or distribution center, worked in a manufacturing or processing plant, and worked in protection or security services. Respondents were also asked if they would consider taking a job or new job in these fields. The figures shown here provides valuable information for economic developers and employers. For example, the green bar shows the number and percentage of people that have experience and would take a job in a specific field. Economic developers and potential employers are often interested in the factors that might encourage workers to take a new or different job. This slide shows responses to questions about working outside of the respondent's current field of employment and whether they would be willing to work weekends, the second shift, or rotating shifts for a new job. This slide shows responses to questions about various types of benefits that might be important to workers. Respondents were asked if each of these items were very important for them to consider taking a new or different job. It is not uncommon for a good salary or hourly wage to be important to many available labor pool members, like shown here. However, in some labor basins, health benefits outweigh good salary and hourly wage. The responses to two questions seem to be of considerable interest to most of our clients. How many minutes are workers willing to commute, and what hourly wage will workers take a new or different job? The first graph shows that most, 81%, of the available labor pool is willing to commute up to 30 minutes one way for a new or different job. The second graph shows that about a third is willing to take a new or different job at $16 an hour. This graph combines data from the two questions about hourly wage and minutes willing to commute. The graph shows a general trend indicating that as hourly wage increases, the number of minutes willing to commute increases as well. However, there are many respondents willing to travel for 30 minutes at all of the wage levels. In every labor study, we have a few subsets of the available labor pool that we can examine. One is the group that are willing to commute the necessary travel time for a job, and another subset are the underemployed. To present an even more refined picture regarding the number of workers who would seriously consider a new employment opportunity, the data on this page includes only those respondents that are determined to be willing to commute the necessary travel time for a new or different job opportunity. Necessary travel time is defined as the travel time stated by the respondent that is equal to or greater than the travel time necessary for the respondent to commute from his or her zip code of residence to the zip code at the center of the labor basin. For example, a respondent that is willing to travel for 30 minutes one way for a new or different job opportunity and that lives an estimated 15 minutes from the center is considered willing to commute the necessary travel time for a new job. The tables on this slide show how some of this data can be presented. Both tables indicate the number of workers that we estimate that are available for work at different wage categories. Another subset of the available labor pool is the underemployed. Underemployment, or those individuals possessing skills and or training levels that exceed the responsibilities of their current job, is a significant issue in many communities. To assess underemployment in a labor basin, the employed members of the available labor pool are presented with a scenario describing underemployment. They are then asked a series of questions assessing if they perceive themselves as underemployed because 1. Their skill level is greater than their current job requires, 2. They possess higher levels of education than is required on the job, 3. They earned a higher income at a similar job previously, or 4. They were limited in the number of hours that they could work. So how much does a labor study cost, and what is the timeline for completion? There are two major factors in cost and timeline. These include the length of the questionnaire and the number of completions. We recommend completing a survey with no less than 400 respondents. This gives us a margin of error of 5%. Given this, a 6 to 7 minute survey would take approximately 6 to 8 weeks to complete from the start of the survey to the delivery of the report. And in 2011, a survey with 400 completions would cost approximately $9,000, and a survey with 650 completions would be approximately $11,000. If you would like more information about our labor studies, please feel free to contact me either by email or by telephone. We can discuss costs and survey questions and anything else you would like. Thank you for your time.